Incoming transmission. Attention, humans of Earth. This broadcast is not real, and the following hosts do not exist. Highly intelligent machines from another world that are now disguised on your planet are fake. It is a scam, a lie, designed by five-faced alien egg-shaped beings with tiny tentacles trying to sell you toys. Okay, rent over. In today's comics, we'll be diving into a Western take on Transformers centered around the most self-centered bot of them all. Yes, that's right. You guessed it. Now we will all say their name in 3, 2, 1. Started Rodimus. Yes, Rodimus. We were all thinking it. Anyway, time to sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. New season, new continuity. That's right, it's season 5. Big wow. And we just finished IDW Beast Wars continuity. So now we are diving into some one-shots. But first, introduction. I'm Onyx Prime with my fabulous co-hosts.
Hi, I'm Killobyte.
And I'm Clickbait.
Moving on with our comic discussion for today's episode takes us to IDW Last Bot Standing. And as always, spoiler warning. So if you haven't read it, we highly recommend you go back, read the comics, then come listen to the podcast. With that, Clickbait.
Yes. How can I help
big
you?
task ahead.
Can
you give
Primus,
us
do I?
the fun facts and trivias for our audience?
Oh, is that all? Of course I can. Starting off with some fast facts. Number of comics in this series is 4. Issue 1 was released May 11th of 2022, while the final issue was released August 21st of that same year. Our writer for this series is Nick Roche, and our artists are going to be E.J. Sue, Nick Roche, with colors by Rebecca Nolte and Brittany Peer. Some trivia for this series. In issue 1, this series isn't written with the intent of slotting into any one continuity or story, but our hero apparently just goes by Rodimus, not Rodimus Prime, which was a naming quirk the character adopted in IDW's original Transformers universe from the 2005 continuity. Could this be an alternative reality created during the end of the Lost Light series? This is further hinted at in issue 2, where Shib says to the people of Donnocht, the relativistic phenomenon of the nighttime stars winking out is known as lost lights. And the aged Rodimus notes that the phrase feels familiar. The Lost Light was, of course, the starship from IDW's popular More Than Meets the Eye and Lost Light comics. In issue 2, we have...
I think not.
I think not. In issue 2, we have double book references. Steeljaw tells tales of Cybertronians traveling from planet to planet using unguided cylindrical projectiles. Combined with their plan to round up the inhabitants of Donnocht and consume them, they evoke the antagonistic Martians from the War of the Worlds, or even the machines from the Matrix series. Continuing classic literature references, the imagery of a prone Rodimus lashed to the ground while surrounded by smaller beings evokes the iconic scene from Gulliver's Travels, where the miniature citizens of Lilliput capture Gulliver. In issue 3, Rodimus refers to Steeljaw's goons as jabronis, an insult popularized by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. The script says insert the rock joke here, but I don't know what that means. Is that
we'll just boulder around it.
Primus, okay.
Let pebbles be pebbles.
Let pebbles be away. Pebbles. We're gonna have an avalanche here in a second if we keep on with these rock jokes. In issue 4, we see references from all across the universe. First being a popularized meme from the Amazon show Invincible, where we see Steeljaw berating a fatally wounded Rodimus on page 20. Think, Rodimus, think. And finally, Godimus, or should I say Super Saiyan Dragon Ball Z with hairpiece version of Rodimus, makes their second appearance, the first being from a lucky draw figure of Primus from the Primus Vanguard, a golden chrome recolor of Rodimus. Goodness, I suppose that was quite the task, wasn't it?
I was not expecting those references.
Thank you so much. Killobyte, do you mind giving us the summaries?
Will do. A lone Cybertronian makes their last stand on a post-apocalyptic Western world against hungry invaders to save the last bit of life left in the universe. Secrets are revealed and twists are made in this epic end-of-times tale. As always, this information has been taken from the wiki. And a special shout out to all of our Patreons. Thank you so much for your support.
Thank you so much.
Amazing.
You're the best.
Thank you. You're the best.
I appreciate you.
All right. Sorry, copyright.
I don't understand the reference. Shall we get started?
Of course.
We're ready.
At the end of everything, we begin on a planet called Donok, filled with elf-looking creatures in a western in our main organic Zelda. Link. Wait, no, this says here, Miss Shib Walkins. That must have been a typo. A bot comes down and we all think it's our main last bot standing. But then Shib's wagon turns into Old Man Rodimus as a strange bot makes their way into town. What are our thoughts on this introduction?
It was interesting. It took a while, a little bit longer to get there to introduce him than I thought. But on a other note, the little bird horse creatures that Shib had, super cute, super adorable. Would totally keep one as a pet, hands down. Super cute.
I don't think you can ride that clickbait without squishing it.
I don't want to. I just think it's cute. I just want to have it and put it in a large paddock and give it little treats. Okay, I know I can't ride it. It's a little organic and we're much bigger, but it's still
Are
cute.
they really birds? I didn't see any
It had a beak type, and like
they're
little
horses.
clawed feet. Oh, my Primus above. I'm sure there's some sort of species soul index for it somewhere, but it's cute. Whatever it
Birds
is,
have
I
wings.
want one. I want one.
I enjoyed the setting, like the style of the characters and the design of certain automobiles.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, because
Yeah.
like the main character has a wagon, but then some other members have like discovered fuel, and so they've created some like dune buggy kind of vehicles, and they look very cool. And I really like steampunk, so kind of have a little steampunky vibe. So
Mhm.
far, like the setting, I really find it interesting.
Mhm.
And that new bot surely does look like Rodimus.
It did, didn't it? It kind of threw me off
It
at first.
did.
When I was
It
reading it.
did. Yeah.
It was like blue Rodimus, and I was like, okay, how's this gonna play out? And then like pulling it out of the covers, there's Rodimus as the wagon.
And very angry for no apparent reason.
Oh yeah, he's very angry
and old.
For no apparent
So-
reason.
Even though this strange bot meant no harm, Rodimus ripped their head off and killed him. Thoughts? Like, my guess at this point was he thought he was protecting the planet from other Cybertronians, no matter whose side you were on. That was my initial thoughts. Then we end with this first issue with a robot bunny arriving in the desert. That's the first issue.
At this point, like, Rodimus killing that bot seemed very out of pocket, seemed very not an Autobot thing to do. I mean, sure, you could argue that he's confused or something, but I felt like this first issue took a lot of strange turns and was setting up something that at this point you had no idea what was happening. You know, we have Rodimus murdering somebody out of pocket. Rodimus is secretly the wagon that looked nothing like Rodimus, and then we have a space bunny. It seemed
Funny.
very all over the place for a first issue.
Would you say Rodimus is off his wagon?
Is
Is that the correct
Primus.
term for? Is that the correct human term?
That's
That's one way to
yes.
put it. That's one way to put
accurate.
it.
Good. I do like the
Great.
bunny. I know it's a Japanese exclusive character. I don't know if it's Beast Wars Neo or Neo 2, but I was interested in see like, ooh, where is this going? Is
It's
this
super cute.
kind of like the last bot standing? Is it kind of like the original Cybertronians, and then now we have like the Beast Wars characters
Mhm.
lineage, where they have not necessarily taken over, but are the ones that are leading Cybertron with the new technology and their new like organic
Mhm.
components. So that's where I was thinking of like where this was going.
I had no idea where this was going.
Sorry, coming out. We discover Rodimus acts old because he's running low on fuel and his memory has had to write over itself. Also, the night sky has less and less stars in them, and it's referred to as lost lights. Insert coincidence, I think not again here. Because we like repetition. What is our thoughts on like I didn't think about this, but it makes sense that they have to overwrite their memory because they don't have like an external hard disk to keep track of their memories.
Yeah, I definitely thought it was an interesting take to kind of explain how, having a long memory bank or having more memories in there takes up more energy, and having no fuel or being on standby or just kind of idling, you have to focus all that energy that would be conserved for, those smaller processes for doing things like functioning. So I thought
Mm-hmm.
that was a nice nod to kind of explain a little bit of his odd behavior. He doesn't really remember things that happened before, but he kind of remembers shorter term, in terms of speaking of a Cybertronian's memory. And that could have kind of guided his behavior a little bit. And I always think it's fun when characters have a little bit of trouble communicating when they first come out of a long rest, like their brain hasn't kicked or their processor hasn't kicked back into communicating yet. And so I liked how he was having a hard time finding words to communicate for a couple minutes. It's kind of a nice loading.
Yeah. Did you know old Transformers used to have all their memory on a floppy disk? It was less than 1 gig.
Really?
Yeah.
Not
I'm gonna have
really a
to
thing.
fact check that. I'm gonna have to fact check that.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. It's from
When did
the.
we upgrade?
Yeah, we upgraded quite a while ago. It was in the UK comics floppy disk.
I
Anyway,
promise.
that was a fun fact. There you go.
I do like the take of how Cybertronians it would age, because
Mm-hmm.
we've seen through a lot of different continuities where they live for millions of years, and so
Shockwave.
I really
Pop.
like how they explored it here of like them growing old, like a human would do or like an organic creature
Mhm.
would do it, in their Cybertronian way. So I thought that was a good, interesting idea, and I would like to see it explore in the future in other continuities and so forth.
Mhm.
Because we've met a lot of like ancient Cybertronians, but they're not in this capacity as Rodimus.
Yeah.
So they don't have like that
We had
memory loss and
we had
like
something similar with Cup in the previous continuity where like he would get mixed up where he was at because some of his old memories were overriding his new ones. We didn't see it with Shockwave, but I'm assuming because he's so smart he found a way around it. But it would be interesting to explore further.
Yeah, and they did and they didn't kind of cover that. We see him kind of aging, but then we discover, later on in this issue that, or might be the next issue, that it's really just lack of energon that's doing this. Yes, there's a small bit of memory loss or confusion, that we've seen with Cup and them prior, but for the most part, these symptomatic, like the older symptoms that he's having are just from lack of energon, because he gets pretty much everything back as soon as he's given energon.
Spoilers. But speaking of
This
spoilers,
whole thing is a
also,
spoiler. What?
we learned
Come
the
on,
rabbit
guys.
robot is known as Moon, and they are not alone. They are joined by
Super cute.
Steeljaw, Sharpjaw, Override, Riot Gear, who are
Sharp
scouting
Claw.
this planet
Isn't it Sharp Claw?
for. Yeah, I said Sharp Claw.
Yes.
You said Sharp Jaw.
Sure, why not? Who are scouting this planet for resources. Also, small note, Shib has a necklace that has like a blue key thing. Could this be an Energon boost, a cyber key meant for Rodimus?
Gee,
This is the note that I put
wonder what
down
that
as I was
is.
reading along. But thoughts so far on the not last bot standings that are here?
Well, he turns out he's not the last bot standing. He's probably the least standing of all the bots in this issue.
That's yeah, true.
Wow.
He spends most of it on his tailpipe.
Yeah, or
Wow.
and the prior to this, he was just in his wagon mode, so he's actually not been doing much standing at all of all the bots that present themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, this definitely took a turn very, very quickly. This series did, and yeah, yeah. I don't know where we're at on spoilers, because apparently that was a spoiler. So I don't know how far forward in this issue I can jump without being chastised
teasing
here.
you. It was a joke.
I know you were I know it was a joke, but I'm going to continue this
Yeah.
joke.
Anything
Okay.
is at this point.
I will stop this awkward moment and be like, I like the cast. I like the cast that they brought in, because we have some RID 2015 characters. I know that Sharpclaw is an original character, and I think it was Nick Roach's daughter, or one of the artists. I can't remember. I'll find the fact and I'll put it on the video. But that designed this character, and so they put it in the story. I
That's
like
cool.
Moon, Override. Riot Gear looked very cool. I did find Riot Gear. The name was very cool, but I also find it kind of funny where they're very low on energy, and he's like, "Hey, Override, can
They kept getting
can
stuck.
you like kick me? Can you like punt me so I can get loose?" And then she does it, and she's like, "I don't want to do that again. That was not
kick in the
that,
teeth,
that was
dog.
like disgusting or something."
Yeah.
He's like, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, but."
I really enjoy all the little quirks they have.
They do have a lot of quirks. I was just about to comment on that. Yeah, they have a lot of little isms, things that they do or they have opinions about. It was very interesting. But the Steeljaw definitely felt very similar to how they portrayed him in the RID 2015 or 2016 continuity that he's from. So, yeah. I could hear his voice as I was reading the comics. It's like, oh, my premise.
Rodimus eventually gets brought to Steeljaw and the other bots, where he passes out and dreams on how he first arrived on this planet. Thoughts, favorite scenes. I enjoyed seeing Strongarm has made it to the end of the universe, but what was their goals? What did they find? And Gripper sounds like a wrecker, but by the way he talks and looks, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I do like his alt mode. It's like a buggy, but then he has like spikes on his tires, so better grip. So they look pretty cool. They arrive here because they want to protect this planet from the destruction that the Cybertronian race has been doing for millions of years. And so something that I don't think we mentioned when we were talking about the Lost Light stars was that Rodimus tells forgot their name already. It's kind of complicated.
Shib.
Like, was it Shiv or Shin? Or
Shib.
Zelda.
That there used to be more. That there used to be more, but the Cybertronian race slowly went from planet to planet and destroyed them because of war, their destruction, and getting all that energon just destabilized and made them disappear. And that's what they're here for, is just to stop that from happening and to protect the planet from the Cybertronian.
I do think this is an interesting point, just really quickly, scientific wise, because the star is the sun. The sun has no resource usefulness to the Cybertronians. So they're talking about how they're going from world to world to world to world and destroying everything. They're not hurting the suns. The suns are not they're not actively destroying stars. So I thought it was a little bit confusing how he's like, "Ah, yes, we're responsible for the destruction of suns." When really they're destroying like the planets around. I mean, yes, theoretically could throw it off, but the planets are circulating around the star. That's not the other way around. So the destruction of the
They
planets
could be
should have no effect on the star.
converting the sun into solar energy or consuming the plasma and trying to convert that into energon during their last commotion.
Theoretically.
I think I remember something similar to one of the previous continuities where like the Reapers or something were involved in destroying suns as part of like a phase 6 attempt to like destroy the planet's natural source of resource to make it weaker. But
yeah,
I don't know.
In the 2019, didn't they want to use the moon or one of the platforms to absorb the sun? Or something? I know they ended up destroying it in the sun.
Then
but
I suppose I stand
think they also wanted
corrected.
to use it to absorb the sun and kind of do the thing.
No, I'm not arguing against you, but I was just pointing out like it sounds like it went unexplained in this continuity.
It did.
In this series, which I mean, you know, whatever. It was flavor. They needed to get to the word lost lights, and that was the way to get to it.
It was a way to get there. I just thought it was interesting from how we see them battle over worlds and resources, and it doesn't focus the resource hunt on solar energy.
Yes, accurately. And so this group Steeljaw is leading comes up with a new way to fuel themselves that doesn't rely on energon, and that is called biofuel, made from organic. Thoughts?
Gross.
Yeah, I was going to say disgusting, and that was going to be too much, but yeah.
That feels like
That's
a turn,
definitely
a very aggressive turn for
very
bots to take.
far.
Especially with a lot of the like perceptions that they have of these creatures. Like, we historically see Decepticons and other bots not wanting to mess with organics at all. And even a lot of the Decepticons tend to leave organic life alone. So it feels like a very dramatic shift to turn to like this hatred they have for them, but also, yes, let's just farm these things instead of looking for energon on far off worlds. Let's completely refit and modify ourselves instead of looking for the one thing that we actually function properly on.
Makes me wonder which bot made this discovery or made this creation.
Probably someone pretty messed up.
Well, you say that in the past they hate organics and humans. Like they still hate them here, but they use them as cattle, and they use them because at some point Rodimus is talking to Shiv, and then they're like, "Ew, you're talking to it," and I'm like, "Oh my goodness, what's going on?"
It's such a strange dichotomy, though. Typically when you are a farmer of things, you are at least somewhat like your job is to tend the livestock, not there's a whole process to it. You don't just. It's so weird that they have this intense hatred for their resource, but also they insist on using that resource. It was such a weird concept.
Dynamic.
Yeah.
From
They have a lot of fluids.
being
I'm
familiar
not a
with
fan of.
like farming. Yeah. Yeah, like usually
So-
farmers are very passionate about their crops or about their livestock and they care about them and but this was so out of pocket. I was like, okay, that's strange.
How many pockets do you have?
I have so many pockets.
Everything,
Thank you for
everything
asking.
has been out of pocket.
Thank you for.
Isn't technically everything not in the pocket is out of pocket? Anyway, moving us along. Shiv gives Rodimus a boost from the Energon Cyber Key that she's been wearing around her neck, which gives him the strength and rejuvenation to fight these bots off. Any favorite scenes?
Gives him the touch.
He gives him the touch. I like how we can visually see Rodimus change a bit. Like it sort of restores him before and after getting coffee, I think is what the humans say.
Ooh, humans do have good liquids.
Even he's like his I don't know what to call him. He has like little horns on top of his like where eyebrows would be. Like they regenerate, like they rebuild themselves. So it's like, whoa, okay.
That's what I was mentioning earlier about how his old attributes, like he looks like kind of an older. He's modeled kind of after like an older human, and how it just when he gets the second he gets Energon, it just undoes all that. He gets more memories back. He's able to function. He goes back to looking exactly like he did before, which kind of defeated the entire purpose of aging him in the first place, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion.
It's kind of like old Clint Eastwood versus a young Clint Eastwood. Now I don't know who that is, but that's what someone told me.
I guess we'll have to do some research on that.
We're gonna have to do some research.
But yeah, Rodimus becomes young and he starts murdering every single bot out there.
Oh,
a lot of murdering. There was a lot of murdering happening.
The poor bunny.
I felt bad for the bunny.
Straight to the point.
It was so cute.
And it was friendly fire.
Especially, especially because they were just chilling, trying to be nice.
Something that we haven't mentioned was that before Rodimus gets the key, the Steel Judge squad, they have somebody on board called the Elder.
The veteran.
The
veteran.
The veteran? I thought it was the Elder.
Nope, it's the veteran.
Both.
It's the both.
They say the veteran far more times, though.
You're both right, and you both get a gold star. Continue on, Killobyte.
More correct.
I thought it was gonna be either like Optimus or Megatron, and it turns out it's just Wheelie.
That was
just his head.
Worst twist. That was the worst
on,
twist.
Like 2 tires, just his head. And I'm like, okay. And then he goes, Rodimus is like, oh, you're no longer rhyming. And he's like, no, I'm not rhyming. I'm just doing high cues now. And I'm like, okay, I guess.
I mean, technically, it's still a form of poetry. And if he was doing limericks before, and now he's doing haiku, technically it's...
The weird thing, though, if you cut him out of this comic, nothing would change.
Nothing would change. It felt like he was supposed to be...
It's one of those twists that, like, it didn't really matter.
They were hyping him up and then never did anything with him. Mm-hmm. And I also thought it was interesting how they spent a lot of the time saying, yes, Wheelie's body deteriorated and we couldn't put it back together. But a lot of these other bots are from the same or a similar time period as Wheelie. We have Override, who's from a very similar time period. And she's perfectly fine. And they did explain...
Getting resources, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. They did explain why, they are all acting weird, not like Autobots, not like Decepticons. Their memories have been overwritten as well. I thought it was strange to have Wheelie with a mind intact and a body not, and everybody else with a body intact and a mind not, when they've all been exposed to the same resources for the same amount of time.
Well, Wheelie's all mind, no
Yeah.
body, so maybe he's got more room for it now.
I don't know, maybe, or maybe there was just nothing in there to start with, so he had more space to build with.
True, it's true.
Probably. I do like how Rodimus takes care of him and just like kicks him into space, and I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
that's a thing.
That's one way to deal with that.
Really booted him out of the comics. So
Just
on the flip
the-
side
the
of
foot of
things,
the issue there.
Steeljaw and Sharpclaw find the other Energon cyber keys. I don't know why, because they have no use for it. Plus a data pad. Who wants to dive into what is on it, and how do you feel after they've learned the truth about this planet?
Kind of saw it coming, honestly. Like, it made sense. It's like, oh yeah, of course it has Energon running through the core of it. That's just, of course, why wouldn't it? Why else would Rodimus be out there? Of course he's not just protecting the last life on the planet. No, he's protecting the last Energon-heavy, Energon-rich planet in the universe. There's always a second layer there to the agenda. I
It's the
was
spices,
surprised. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was surprised that the rest of the crew, after wanting to leave, Gripper fell and Strongarm eventually ended up snapping per the comic, that she didn't take some Energon with her, or that Rodimus didn't let her go. If he was going to stay there and protect it, why did he have that? He should have. I don't know. It seemed like a lot of the reasoning came from such a strange place.
Yeah, well, the whole premise of why Rodimus Strongarm and I forget his name
Gripper.
are
Gripper.
Gripper are there. It's because Rodimus wants to atone for the sins of the Cybertronian race that have been destroying these planets, and so he found Energon, and he just doesn't want them to start the process again, or like the vicious cycle of like, you find Energon, we all get stronger, we all start building machines, and we all start fighting for it again, and then we go to the next planet and do the same thing. And so Gripper fell off a cliff, impaled on a rock, and died, and they couldn't do anything about it. I'm like, I feel like you could have.
You could have
feel
used
like
the
you
key.
could have, yeah.
It seems like the key was the MacGuffin here.
Or just harvested some Energon and healed him. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
Since clearly even just being around the ore heals him.
Does it?
Yeah, because it healed Rodimus
Yeah,
towards the
it
yeah,
healed him after getting
Yeah,
shot
yeah,
like 4 times.
yeah.
I promise!
And then, sorry. There are too many things happen, okay?
Yeah, a lot of
and then
things
Strongarm snapped, and she wanted to go get more Cybertronians and bring them here. And then Rodimus is like, no. And so he shot the wings of her spaceship, making it crash and just killing her.
Yeah.
And I'm
What
like,
did he think
what
was
is
gonna
going
happen?
on here?
What did he think
what
was
is
gonna
going on
happen?
here?
He was thinking
I was trying to
that
clip
he
her
was
wings and I
preventing a
clipped her, all right.
problem for later. Yeah. It's
Oh my goodness.
it was very dark. It was a very dark
It was
turn.
very dark
events.
turn.
And so what eventually what they did was they contacted the local organics that developed sentience and could understand reason, and so they slowly introduced the introduced themselves and created a bond with them, where we're like, hey, if more of us arrive, wake us up with these keys if need so, and then we'll protect you and we'll stop him. And so generations upon generations, they started passing this information, and that's how Shib has the keys and knows about Rodimus and the Cybertronians.
But I felt like Shib didn't even really know about Rodimus and the Cybertronians. Shib knew of this secret, but I feel like had push come to shove, Shib didn't know how to activate Rodimus. She just kind of ended up like shoving it towards him, and only after he was awake and transformed did she do that. I feel like if they had really shared that secret appropriately, Shib would be like, yes, this is the protocol, this is the procedure, this is what I do when. If it had been passed down as rigorously through generations as they led you to believe.
You know how
like this is how you activate
the humans have
life-saving
short amount of lifespan, and like information gets lost, the desperation gets lost between generations. It's all become mythos. It's like, oh, that's not real. You're just making up stories. So maybe
would agree with you
like
if they didn't have the tablet.
Sure.
They have the tablet. That works.
Maybe the tablet needed some energon.
It didn't get energon when it worked when Steeljaw pressed the button.
Moving forward, a fight breaks out for the Cybertronian Energon keys. Shib runs with the last one, and did anyone see that the other Cybertronians that came with Steeljaw combined into a bot named Unstoppamus?
I did. That was that was a thing that happened. A choice they made.
It certainly did happen.
That's the funniest thing because they're running out of fuel. I'm assuming combining takes up even more of energy, and then it's Unstoppables is like really like even Rodimus is like what did we run out of names?
It is a little crazy and interesting is a word to describe
I'll go
it.
with interesting. That seems like an acceptable word.
Any favorite scenes during the final confrontation between Rodimus, Sharpclaw, Steeljaw inside the Energon mines, where Steeljaw pretty much says, if you can't win then, no one can, and threatens to blow up the entire whole planet.
For Steeljaw, that seems like a reach, because he's a very self-preservation based bot, from what we've seen so far.
So you would call his
bluff?
bluff?
I would absolutely call his bluff.
Well, his sister did, and she ended up dead.
Yeah, but that's different. That's somebody else. He's sacrificing somebody else. That doesn't matter. He would never sacrifice himself. That goes against Steeljaw's innate desire for Steeljaw to live.
But it's a different continuity. It might be.
It is.
It is a different continuity, but so far, everything they've lined up as him being this leader and him pushing this agenda and him wanting everybody to be able to survive, particularly himself, right? He's kept most of his abilities intact and functioning. Point towards it being accurate that he's more invested in himself living. And when he has an entire...
How'd that work out with him when Rodimus went Super Saiyan?
That didn't work super great. That did not work super great. I did like the flames. Those were cool. Everything's better with flames.
I was not expecting that panel at all. It
Me
threw
neither.
me off so much.
I saw that panel, went back a page and went back to this one. I was like, is this real? He's even got the hair.
Yeah. All he needed was one of the special moves. And...
Yeah. One thing that I thought was cool that we didn't mention yet is the town that they're in is named Fembrance. And at first I thought the town was named Remembrance, and I had made a note of, oh, that's cool, it's named Remembrance, and everybody's kind of remembering these things that went on in their past, or things from their past are coming back to haunt them. Which Fembrance isn't Remembrance, but it's close enough that I felt like it would be interesting to make the point anyways.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'd say your point got close enough.
Yeah. It Fembrance there. It Fembrance its way there. And in the end, it turns out not all the bots were killed, and Rodimus put them into a stasis lock inside a ship he made. He helped the townsfolk, then he left with the stasis bots for a one-way trip to space. The end. Final thought. Last bot standing, I guess, if you don't count the sleeping ones.
Yeah, or Wheelie, but Wheelie is just ahead, so he doesn't really stand.
Yeah, he's wheeling. He's not standing.
Wow. Well, it was strange because Rodimus had specifically stated earlier in the issue, I took care of everyone. Like, they're all dead. Plot twist, no, about half of them ended up surviving and we're going into stasis, and we're not going anywhere. He's just going to take these bots that just tried to kill the entire life on the planet, and we're just going to hang out in orbit in case you need us. But I'm the only one that's going to help you, and everybody else tried to kill you and turn you into food. But we're all just going to hang out in orbit together. And
I get
the
so sentiment,
random,
but it felt left field based on the opposite of what he was trying to do. Which you're allowed to do character development, but I don't know about this.
If this was the way.
Yeah.
It was interesting. It was an interesting turn of events.
Is there anything we want to circle back towards?
I do like that he helped the townsfolk and he taught him how to harvest it, so they eventually have like cars and whatnot. So they got into the modern age, if you want to call it that. So that was pretty cool.
Which is funny because the whole thing leading up to this is, we don't want to interfere. Nah, JK, I'll just show you exactly how to use and process Energon.
Yeah, he ended up doing the very thing he swore.
It was so contradictory.
He brought him into the modern age, and
I'm
sure weapons will soon be developed, and
Typical Rodimus.
Shall we dive into clickbait quick quotes?
Woohoo! Yeah. Let's do it. So my first quote is from issue number 2. It is spoken by Rodimus, and I thought it was a funny callback to his time being the family wagon for generations when he was speaking about, I think it was Sparks and Firebolt were the two little critters' names. And he says, that creature is transport. I don't recognize it from the front. As in, Like they've been hitched to him in his wagon form this whole time, which I thought was funny. Issue number 2 is between Shib and Rodimus, and we've already mentioned this twice, so I'm going for a third time for repetition purposes, just to bring this home. When he talks about the lights. Full circle. And Shib says, "The sky has been emptying my whole life. We call them lost lights." Rodimus says, "Lost lights?" Shib says, "Does it mean something?" Rodimus says, "Feels like it does," which we know was previously the name of his ship, if this linked to any particular continuity. And then finally, for our final quick quote, we have in issue number 3, it's Rodimus again, and he's talking, I believe it's in one of the battle scenes in the desert, talking about how they were processing food after, and he destroyed their plants. And he says, "But if that's the only option for these guys, and all that's left for them to eat is my burn." And then he burns out, and flames come out of his exhaust. It was cool. It was fun. It was a funny thing. There
Classic Rodimus.
wasn't a ton of quippy dialogue here to choose from, or there were quippy things, but nothing that really warranted much of a quick quote. Though I did at first think in the beginning that Shib's siblings were vegetables. They were talking about vegetables. Beets, I know it's a human like food, so I thought they were specifically referencing that they needed to go get beets and not that was Shib's sibling's name. It took me
as long as they're not sick.
It took me a couple of times of them saying beets until they were back at the house and Shib was yelling at them for me to realize that was their name and not that they needed to go get beets.
Wow.
Well, Rod Star Raining. Kilo, do you mind taking us out?
Yeah. The story for me was not one that I really liked or enjoyed that much. The art was good and the designs were cool. I liked seeing the other characters, like we saw Scylla, we saw Moon, Override, Riot Geared, so a lot of bots that we don't normally see, which was cool. The story just kind of felt kind of weird in some cases, and like things didn't add up, and we didn't really find out what really happened to everybody else and why he calls himself the last bot standing, because out of the 3 that landed here, he was the only one left. But so it's like, are all the other characters actually dead, or are you just being like, no, since I'm the only one here, then that's why I'm the last one? So it was just a lot of weird sentencing and like a lot of circling back and forth. So I did not really find them that very fun. So I would have to give him like a 2.5, just because they caught my attention in the first issue, and then after that they kind of lost.
I will agree that the art was great. I will agree that there were some interesting tidbits. And I will also agree that overall the story definitely did fall short in coming full circle or accomplishing what was desired or what the characters wanted, because I felt like they made all these big grandiose points and then in the end just kind of did the opposite. So in my opinion, I'm going to agree with what Kilo said. It was a 2.5 for me. I like the art a lot. I like seeing lots, so we don't get to see a lot. I like seeing new faces, but I'm not going to read it again.
Yeah, I'm going to echo a lot of your points. The art is fantastic. It was wonderful. A lot of the character designs, wonderful, beautiful. The first issue or 2 were probably the best. They were the peak. They caught my attention. I was like, wow, I wonder where this is going. This is really fun. This is really interesting. Issue 3 was like, okay, we're just doing some resolution here. And then issue 4 kind of fell short a little bit. The story arc was great in the beginning, fumbled in the last part, I think. There's a lot of characters in here that you could have written out and the story wouldn't have changed. Wheelie, Moon, it's important to make sure most of your components cannot be changed if you remove someone. And that's not what happened here, I think. But I like the interesting idea of converting organics into biofuel. I like the overriding their memories. I liked a lot of the conflict between the bots. And even though it felt contradictory to what Rodimus was saying, I think he was trying to self-reflect and trying to keep the Cybertronian race alive, even though in the beginning he was like, it should die, and that's why he's not the last bot standing. It still didn't really say that message loud enough to the audience, I think. But I'm going to give it a solid 3.5.
Ooh, okay.
But listeners, What did you think of these comics? How many rot stars would you give it? Let us know by leaving a comment below. If you are interested in getting in contact with us, you can send us an email at swervesbarpodcast@gmail.com. That is SWERVESBAR podcast@gmail.com. Any new toys you guys want to talk about?
Yes. Today.
I guess no one wants to talk
I
up.
will
I guess I'll
approach
talk.
you.
All right.
Oh.
I got a.
No.
Go ahead, Kilo.
Today, I got my legacy tidal wave, and I love him so much.
Okay.
I will put him in a car seat, and I will drive him around.
Oh my
forever.
god, you're such a good
We need a
dad.
photo of that for the video.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Safety
we
first,
do.
son.
We
Safety
do.
first.
Safety first. Safety first.
He's very good. I haven't got to play too much with him, but he looks very good. And next to Megatron, he looks even better. So I am very happy.
I got the Decepticon Decepticon Nemesis Bridge dramatic capture series that has Megatron, Shockwave, Soundwave, and a little throne. Oh, almost dropped it. A little throne for Megatron to sit on. Super fun. I like having the accessories a lot. So I like being able to like pose them and get to hang out with them. I like putting them on the shelf and it's cool. Oh shoot, I was trying to pull up a picture because they're out of sight at the moment. But super
Nice.
cool. I like them. They're fun. They're fun to play with. I think I haven't gotten a Shockwave in a while, so it was definitely fun to kind of pose them and see all the cool little accessories that they come with. So, and it was
What a
all
shocker.
G1ified, and Soundwave came with his cassettes, and everybody's shiny and pretty, and I liked it. Very nice.
Ooh,
Lots of fun.
nice. I, during an adventure out and about, discovered and got one heck of a deal on a Shattered Glass Ultra Magnus figure. Wow, words are hard at this late evening. It's nice. It didn't come with the Delta Magnus head, but that's fine. I wasn't gonna pose it with that. I like the skull head. Why do anything else when you can have a skull head? It's nice. It came with a laser sword with a matrix, which is crazy because he's got nowhere else to store it but his hands. Like even in his truck mode, you can't put it anywhere else. So I'm like, all right. And the matrix, I'm like, you can't put it in his chest because he's not the right figure for it. Not even in his smaller form. So it's just there, and I just hope that I don't lose it. But other than that, pretty nice.
Nice. Fun. Good
Nice.
good finds.
We're almost done with the Shattered Glass collection.
You're funny. I need an Optimus, Ratchet, Blaster, Jetfire.
Well, I think they're
I'm
going to do a
halfway.
reissue of the Optimus and Ratchet.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
I got the Grimlock too. The really pretty Grimlock.
I got the Grimlock. Yeah. Are you ready for our next episode where we will be diving into a brand new continuity? When I mean brand new, back from the year 2002,
Something.
2003. It's old enough to drink. Armada, Volume 1, Issue 0, and Issues 1 through 5. Issue 0 is like its own thing. You can kind of read it separately, but you can skip if you want to. But it's funny and I recommend it.
Yes.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. I'm so ready.
Killobyte, do you mind taking us out?
Will do. If you've enjoyed this episode, consider sharing it with your friends and subscribing. If you want to help out the show even further, we have started a Patreon. All the proceeds will go to supporting the show and keeping the lights on. Of course, we have some tiers that offer other forms of gratitude, such as 3D printed files and entry to our Discord channel. You'll even get early access to our comic review videos a week before they're publicly released, and our D&D videos. We also have a Redbubble where you can support us and get some cool merch with our logo and some of our also D&D logos.
Yeah, and we've updated it, so there's more stuff on it.
Woohoo!
Lots
And
of
as
fun
always,
stuff.
we hope you're all staying safe out there. Thank you so much for listening. Till all are one.
Till
all are one.
one.
Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Swerve Podcast, and even on Tumblr. Yes, with everything going on, Twitter, we figured we should cover our bases. Speaking of which, you can also find us on Twitter at Swerve, if that's still a thing. If you're interested in more content, try checking out our spin-off D&D series, Transform and Roll Out. Season 3, titled Eons, is out now. Let's tune in to a preview now.
Next time on Transform and Roll Out.
Before we leave, I want to grab something really quick. I run over to the paint. I want to paint up so bad. It's been waiting for me.
Hey, if we're leaving, should we maybe grab that lady that has no head? No head.
You mean allegory?
Mulder.
Allegory. There's
What?
how do you say that?
My body won't let me back in. I lost my keys. I'm locked out.
I think you said that already.
Her memories were forgotten.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
God,
You silly Billy. You forgot.
I thought Mulder had impeccable memory.
How strange. I don't understand why anyone would tune in into such make-believe content. Perhaps it's the voice actors that makes special appearances sometimes. Oh well. Tune into their YouTube channel that has bonus content such as video games containing phony comments, convention videos, and trendy shorts. A link will be provided below. And if you're inclined, check out their Redbubble where you can get pins, t-shirts, and more, or subscribe to their Patreon to access their Discord and listen to content before it's released to the public. More links will be provided below. End transmission.